Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Vinyl Stallions! All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Stallions. We are here in Spruce Studios with an incredible backdrop, but with an even more incredible artist. Mr. Ray Flanagan is in the house. Ray, welcome to Vinyl Stallions. How are we doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming here today, because I was telling Gino, shout out to Gino Oradini, who's putting on this whole videography you're seeing right now. We're really taking some steps up here in the video world, and Gino's going to help us along the way. But I was telling Gino that I think your name has probably been the most mentioned on this podcast since the beginning.
I would second that for sure.
Yeah, and we honestly should cut that shit up of every time someone just goes Ray Flanagan, Ray Flanagan. I'm telling you, it'd be well over 30 seconds.
It's between Ray and Mikey Silas, like totally.
Nah, we always like to ask, like, who are some of your favorite artists and stuff, local artists, and man, your name gets dropped in there a lot. I remember actually hearing your name from Paul Nichols is his name, a guy who I recorded my first single.
Yeah,
with.
I remember Paul. Yeah.
And he was just like, you gotta check out Ray Flanagan, man. He's this. And then that was also when I started like trying to go out to like open mic nights and stuff along those lines. And what do I know? You're hosting the open mic night like a week after Paul mentioned it. So tell us, man, where did just Ray Flanagan begin within the guitar world? Everyone knows your name in Northeast Ohio. Where did this begin for you?
What do you mean?
Like just guitaring in itself. Like when did you pick that up? When did you decide, hey, I'm going to play out? And then when did you decide all the way up here in 2023 that you're going to be putting out 2 singles every first Friday of the month for damn well 2 years?
That's like 5 questions.
Yeah, it is 5 questions in one.
I don't know. I always think I knew I wanted to play. I used to like, there's a lot of pictures of me carrying around like a little plastic guitar when I was younger. Like when I was like 4 or 5. So I think I always was drawn to it. And I didn't really start. Yeah, I started playing like seriously when I was 11. I tried to start playing when I was 8 in this local music store in Medina. Like wouldn't take on students that young at the time or some fucking
ages.
Wait, can I swear on this?
An ages? Oh, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. But like, and I was like, and I was crushed by it. Like, but then I tried to skateboard, and then the first time I tried to drop in, I was afraid. So I decided I think I'm gonna go back and try guitar again. And then I taught myself because I had a chip on my shoulder about the people that wouldn't give me lessons the first time. So
have you ever taken formal lessons?
No. I've taken one guitar lesson with Michael Bay a couple of years ago because he did. I don't know if you know Michael Bay.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that name.
So Michael, the Michael Bay and the Bad Boys of Blues, they're kind of a Cleveland institution. But Michael's a great guitar teacher, and he just taught all kinds of people. Lots of people go to Michael, but he did this clinic, and there was a coupon in this folder of like information that he handed everybody that went to his clinic. And one of them, there was a coupon for a free guitar lesson. So I went and took a lesson with Michael once, but other than that, I'm just fending for myself,
That's pretty wild to think. I mean, you hear people just talking about years and years of lessons that we've had on here, Klepp. And I mean, to be able to see you, I don't know, in person, I guess. I mean, I encourage everyone to go out and see Ray Flanagan any chance you get in the Northeast Ohio area. Like the way you play guitar is like, I don't know. It's different. It's different than what other people play. You're not just like doing normal chords up there. Like it's very crazy to just watch your fingers and what they're doing.
I think I've always wanted to just develop a style, and so that I thanks for saying that, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, a guy I love is Dave Matthews, and I love him even more when I started like trying to learn some of his songs, because it just simply doesn't make sense on like logistical what guitar is supposed to be.
I've always admired that about him too. He's pretty idiosyncratic. Like what he's doing has nothing to do with anything else really. It's just his way that he found his way around it. I used to love Dave Matthews. Like when I might still like admire him, but when I was in high school, I went through a Dave Matthews thing. But Yeah, he's pretty incredible, but he's got that thing, whereas the stuff he's doing is just him finding his own, following his ear around the instrument,
Yes.
and it makes for, you're not gonna call him to like hit on a jazz gig, but like he's the only guy that does that thing that he does.
Definitely. And I honestly just deep dove into Dave Matthews Band within the last like 2 years. So I'm like still enthralled by it. And I encourage everyone out there. There are more songs than Ants Marching and Crash Into Me. Go and freaking listen to
It's
it.
one of those weird things that could suck you in like a cult for some
It
reason.
is.
If
I
it
mean,
gets
jam
you at the
bands, that's a
right.
whole different conversation of like, why are jam bands so like culty and so like mad at each other always? Like, it's a whole different conversation that we can dive into. But something, something else that I always try to tell my friends and stuff about Dave Matthews is there's horns. I mean, you got Carter Beauford on the drums. You have so much other stuff happening where like Dave's guitar gets just lost in the mix and when it's playing. And half of that is, as well as he's very acoustic focused, which I know you are as well. And where people may not understand, like they're like, oh, it all sounds the same. I'm like, it may sound the same because it has the same tone, but it's completely just different and wild stuff.
Good luck convincing anybody.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, that's when you got to see them like solo or go and like try to learn their music because that's when you're just like, oh shit, like, like what? Like they're like a spider up on that thing. But yeah, man. So I don't know. I see you playing out a lot. I've seen Ray Flanagan and the Mean Machines. Is that it? And but majority seen you playing acoustic though. Do you gravitate towards that style of playing?
Um, yes, for several reasons. I think most of my gigs are just that because that's what people are willing to pay for. In terms of like people that own places that will book music,
Yep.
So I mostly just play by myself because I can't afford to hire anybody else and make a living.
100%, man. Not good for you for being able to do it. Like, I don't know, fully, man. There's people who step into it and slowly dive into it, but stay consistent with the other stuff. But the fact that you are able to do that, and like I see you playing out like all the freaking time, man. Like it's great that you are consistently booked.
Yeah, it's like if you followed a plumber around, you'd be like, I see you changing pipes all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yes,
can do it.
okay. That's an interesting thought. Just like, yeah, take us through like I'm sure there's not like a typical Ray Flanagan week, but just like pick a week. Just take us through like what a week in your life is like.
Oh, yeah, there's no consistency to my schedule. So my sleep habits are unpredictable. And yeah, it depends, like I mean Monday is usually kind of my day where it's least likely that I have something to do. Um so Mondays usually I do whatever I want. I sleep or do whatever I need to do. Um Tuesdays, it depends what day of the week, like what Tuesday it is. Sometimes, yeah, because Tuesday is usually like my Winchester open mic I do every other week, or sometime once a month, the second Tuesday of every month, I drive down and go play for these things called ViaQuest, which is like basically daycare for adults with developmental disabilities. I do a lot of
Okay.
work. I do a lot of work for this nonprofit in town called Roots of American Music. Basically, they find I'm sure has Roots been brought up on this program yet or anything?
No, honestly not. Dive
There's
in a little bit
probably other.
more.
I don't know who you guys have interviewed, but like, but they write grants, they make up these programs and get grant money for them, and then they employ musicians, and it could be lots of different things like, yeah, like I do that ViaQuest thing. It could be like there's old folks home gigs, or there's different programs that you do in schools with kids that are like songwriting programs or like music history programs or whatever. So depending on the season or whatever, I have things like that. But yeah, Wednesday, who knows what happens? It's just gigs, so it could be a lot of Wednesday mornings. Like I play the Cleveland Clinic Farmers Market. I play for North Union Farmers Market. There's like, I don't know, 7 to 10 different markets around town that I play on different days of the week. And then Thursdays, well, this Thursday I go on your podcast.
Book it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just gigs. It could be some restaurant somewhere. Tomorrow I'm at some restaurant in Hudson, and Saturday night I'm in Massillon. A lot of bars and restaurants. I would say I'm like kind of really the what gigging as a musician looks like is like being service industry adjacent is really what it. All my friends are either other musicians or uh bartenders and servers pretty much, you know. So yeah, and then every once in a while I play um like venue shows around town or whatever. And I'm trying to get out of town a little more. I just got to find other people that will book me because I will not do emails. If I have to respond to 2 emails, I shut down mentally. I go, I'm not doing this. So I just all my work is really just through recommendation over the years of just being around and building a reputation of if you tell me to be somewhere, I'll most likely be there on time and do what I'm supposed to do, you know.
So are
Right
you
on.
like said recommendations? So for the most part, are these places just reaching out to you at this point?
I could have such a busier schedule if I actually went after things. Everything, it's just kind of, I don't seem to, especially in the summertime. I always end up in trouble like going into wintertime because I'm like, I did not book anything and no, and just places that reach, there's just always stuff going on. In the summertime, so it seems like I just like yeah my name I'm around enough and I hang out around enough that people think of me, I think, to call me for things because but yeah, I don't really go. I needed but I'm working on trying to be more proactive because um yeah, I'm a little disenchanted with your general patrons. You know what I mean? No offense to people that wear polo shirts and khaki shorts, but like
I had to like make sure I didn't have a collar on.
yeah, I know. I always say that, but you know what I mean? It's like
Nah, I know.
yeah. Like don't talk to the musician,
Yeah,
especially if you want to hear an Eagles song or something. It's like,
just like
Just take it easy.
keep them in the corner. Like
yeah, that's a good one.
take it easy. And I really like. So I checked out your website before we dove into this, and it's.
I haven't updated that thing, and
I was gonna say some gigs were towards the end of 2022, but something that just is in your bio that just stands the hell out is like you say right there that you have played with nearly every artist in Northeast Ohio.
oh, I don't
And
know if that's true. I didn't write that, but
well, someone damn well wrote it, and I would say it damn well is close because again, I don't know, man. Anywhere I go, I just see you out there.
yeah, there was a point where I was in like 7 bands around town, and I just at a certain point I just quit all of them because I was, it's you can't be pulled in that many directions and
Yeah.
give everybody fair attention. And you know, in general, I realize anytime I'm showing up with a dark cloud over my head, it's like it's time to remove yourself from this situation,
Definitely. And it's
But
good that you're able to recognize that.
yeah,
People will stay in that shit sometimes.
yeah.
And then just blows up.
hmm It's important to listen to that voice, like as soon as it gets there, at least to consider it.
Yeah.
Why? Wait, what?
And especially something with music that's so just free and like I don't know. And I'm sure you go through this every day where you're like, what I'm doing means nothing. What I'm doing means like so much. It's just is like something that is like constantly in, I don't know, it's very free is what I'm going to say. And like being able to listen to that voice, especially in music, like is very big.
Yeah, yeah, and there's varying degrees of that too, because it's like, yeah, working in music is way different than artistically creating in music because, um, yeah, in that area, like everything's pretty easy and free. Working in music, that's where really the only time where it's like, fuck this sometimes,
Yeah.
but you know, but for the most part, I love what I do. Um, it's just there's like anything, it's the when you choose to get money involved, it goes up and
Yeah,
down.
it's a
Yeah,
different monster for sure.
Yeah, can you dive into that a little? Like, what are some of the, I guess, frustrations or limitations, if you will, of like, having to satisfy a customer versus like just full creative liberties.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much just refuse to do. I make it hard on myself because I refuse to do. Even at my gigs, like I just play my songs, so I don't usually anybody that comes up and asks to hear something, I just say no, and then they either laugh and respect it, or they're disappointed, but they're forced to respect it, and so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just funny. It basically people um in a bar, like a restaurant setting, like really the best thing that you should do is just play songs that people want to hear. Because people aren't there to listen most of the time. With my stuff, I feel like I just have enough material that I have things that can set atmosphere without intruding on a family's dinner, and have a mood that's there. And then they almost like I like to find a way to like kind of become atmosphere in that setting, and where I'm not trying to get people to pay attention to me. And like a lot of times, which can equal specifically to things like not stopping between songs, so that there's no dead silence or people don't feel like they should clap. It gets weird in a bar, even if you are playing stuff people want to hear. Because I did that when I was starting out a lot. And when I realized, like, oh, I just played this Tom Petty song and nobody clapped. And I'm like, well, I didn't do that for me. I did that for you guys. So it's like, okay. And now there's this. So I started to have this. It's like, okay, well, you really just need to set a mood, because it also gets weird if like one table is clapping, but then everybody else looks like, wait, are we supposed to be? And they don't know what to do. And so it's really just about trying to make people feel comfortable. Although sometimes I have a sick sense of humor that likes to create a tense environment. But for the most part, it's really about just trying to make people feel comfortable. I don't know if this is on topic with what you asked me, but I'm just thinking about playing and for patrons, basically, which is what I so often am doing. But what I really love about it is clocking the hours. So it's like you playing for 3 hours at a time, and doing that like 5 to 7 times a week for years. You get really good, and then when you got to do like a 30-minute opening set for somebody, it's like almost hard to whittle it down. So yeah, I just really just enjoy working, like in music, like in do it with. I just want to be able to work,
No, big time, man. And
and
there's something to be said
on my terms a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Now there's something to be said. There's like about like playing out and being the center of attention, but also just being the guy in the corner. Like I'm sure it's kind of relaxing.
It's its own other skill. Yeah.
Do you have any covers you that you enjoy doing?
Oh, I don't know.
Go tos.
I don't know. There's things that will happen sometimes, but it's pretty at random.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's cool that that's your mindset, because I feel like I'm the opposite of most people, where I prefer, if I'm like watching someone perform, I don't want to hear covers. Like, I came to see you, I want to hear your music and your songs. Maybe like one cover in a set is cool, but like no more than that. Like, so yeah, artists that like stick to their music, like I enjoy that so much more. And I know like I'm kind of in the minority, like a lot of people like covers, and that's why you get those people at bars that
people
are
just
like,
want to feel
play
comfortable.
Freebird.
Yeah. Well, the Freebird's a funny one, because like people yell that without even knowing the song sometimes.
So you'll start it and they like will still
well, no, my way of handling that is one of two ways, which is, well, I started doing this thing. It was a 3-strike rule. Like people would yell and I go, all right, it's a 3-strike rule, which turns into a game, and now it's a challenge and they want to do it, is what I learned. But I would just play the end of it, the solo part of it, until everybody in the bar like and then make it very clear that who yelled it, and then everybody in the bar would slowly like turn and get mad at that person because it was their fault. But I would just play it and then end it and then start it again, and then play it and then end it and start again. The other one that I did more recently is somebody yelled it at I do these Mondays, the last Monday of every month at the Winchester with Anthony Papaleo, and somebody yelled it like a month or two ago at one of those gigs, and I just started doing it was like, if I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? If I leave here tomorrow, and I just did that I did it for probably at least 2 minutes straight, you know, to where, and then the guy that yelled it, he was like mortified, and I almost felt bad because I put him on the spot so bad he was like shaking.
Holy shit!
But I was like, yeah, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? Who's laughing now?
Holy shit!
You know,
That's fucking great. I'm glad you had an answer for like, what do you do when people say Freebird?
I mean, people yell it so much, it's like it's just the sign of someone that doesn't get out much.
Yeah,
it's like, wow, that's a funny
true.
one.
Yeah.
Cars. It's
I can honestly say I have never yelled Freebird at a musician, and I guess I should be proud of that.
I don't know. I don't care what people do. I'm just going to respond how I want to respond.
Right on. Yeah, they take the liberty to do that. You get the liberty right back.
Also, it's meant to be lighthearted, but I did. You know, it's twice that I've made a grown man shake from that. It's so funny because they have the balls to yell Freebird, but they don't want to be. They don't actually want attention.
I mean, people are afraid of attention. Like even just simply getting up on a stage, people are petrified of. And you're telling me the guy on stage that everyone's looking at is turning the attention on you.
I know it happened in this other gig in Akron one time for some event, some summit event. This guy was sitting right in front of me in this chair, and he just yelled it, like thinking out, he's like, ha ha ha, and then I was like, wait, what did you say? And it was a pretty small audience, like there's only like 30, 40 people in this little space, and I did the same thing at that gig. And that guy, I felt actually bad because I thought he was gonna cry. And I was like, dude, you fucking yelled Freebird at me. How are you? Like, you know, I was like, what do you want me to do? You know,
it's like tweeting at somewhere, like something where they just don't think that like you hear them or like are gonna respond at some point.
Yeah.
Just like take a stand.
No, I think I am a big fan of confrontation, especially if it's in a playful way. Like I don't ever want to be mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. When people do that, it's like I'm not proud that they get like that or have on those two occasions. Into that. It's more just like, whoa, well then, okay, if you don't want, like, you did a joke, now I'm doing a joke. You know, like, yeah,
man. So I mean, everything that you just went through when you like walk through the days, we've obviously touched on like how freaking much you play out, and like that is 99.9% of the problem for every artist out there that's creating right now is just doing it. And we've touched on how much you play live, but I briefly touched on it before, is you putting out 2 singles on the first Friday of every month.
Mm-hmm.
Can you dive into that a little bit? Like, when did that start, and how have you done it for 2 years straight now? And it's self-produced, correct?
Yeah, it was a COVID thing. Like before COVID, I didn't even own any recording equipment. Like the only microphones I had I had a 58 that I used for gigs. And I don't know. I just like, I got some stuff because during COVID, all these gigs started popping up that were live streamed gigs, like and paid gigs. Like Roots of American Music did some, like I think like Downtown Cleveland Alliance did some. Mm-hmm. There were different gigs that places put on. There was like some for different nonprofits and things, and different. There was all these, and then there was just like you could go on there. In the beginning of COVID, you could just go on live, and like people would actually give you money. Mm-hmm. It stopped as it went on, but like in the beginning of it, people were pretty generous. I mean, I would say the community kind of kept me afloat when they closed bars and restaurants. I was like, I couldn't believe it. You know, it was amazing how generous some people were to lots of different musicians around. I was like, wow, man, this is pretty. There really is a music community here, and people that come out and support just as much as there is, you know, people trying to just play out, you know. And but so then I bought some stuff in order to participate basically in the live streaming stuff, and then I don't know, it came like that winter of 2020, and I sort of like I didn't have gigs and stuff, so I was looking for stuff to do. I started looking for like old maybe recordings that I didn't release and seeing if I could salvage anything, or like Because it was the first time I had gotten an interface too. So like I got one of those personas interfaces, and it comes with Studio One.
Yeah.
So I had this, and I'm like, oh, I can have this software. Because other than that, I used to use Audacity or whatever if I needed to do something. Pretty much, I was anti home recording before because I was like, I'm not someone that wants to wear a bunch of different hats. I mean, I like hats, but I don't want to wear I don't want to be my own manager and my own image consultant and my own booking agent and my own. I just want to like create and perform music. That's all I want to do. So I'm always like, yeah, me. It's like, anybody with a MacBook thinks that they could put out an album now, and it's like, it's awesome because it gives a lot of freedom for everybody to have a voice, but it makes the quality control sort of non-existent. And I've always been like, I know people that are real engineers and real producers. Like, if I want, what I mean? It's the same thing as like bring Gino in here. It's like you get this person that's good at the thing to do the thing and build a team of, rather than me trying to be half good at 10 things. I've always wanted to be really good at one or two things. And
Absolutely.
But because I just had nothing to do, I just started fucking around, and I've been in studios enough that I and I have an ear. So I think that's just the biggest thing about recording is just really just like whether you have an ear or not, you just move a microphone around until it sounds like something. That's the only way I can figure out to do it. But so then I just started messing around, and I made this little EP, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm putting this out. Like, who cares? And then I had got this idea because then Bandcamp Friday was a thing where the first Friday of every month on Bandcamp, they waive like their normal fees, which is like 15% they take like 15% is like a decent, I mean, if you all of a sudden
that's a giant fee.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like all of a sudden I'm making $16 on $20 or whatever. I don't know what it is. And there's other fees too, because there's like a credit card processing fee, whatever. But then I put out this one song in line with that first Bandcamp Friday of 2020. And then I just kind of just went, I don't know, I'm going to do this every month. And then I just stuck to it and ended up doing it for 2 years. And it was really like one of the most satisfying things I've ever done for different reasons. Like one, just like not having any schedule at all. You're just at home in your house. Like, what do? It gave me some sense of like, okay, at least this has to be done by this. And then the months would fly by because I would just like make sure these 2 songs were done by the end of the month. And then, so it's like, I wasn't putting a crazy pressure on myself to like, I'm not going to make an album every month, but like 2 songs a month is like, to really like sit there and try and make a fully fleshed out thing. And sometimes they would just be acoustic or whatever. I don't know. I also think learning a little bit about recording myself has helped me be better at communicating my ideas to other musicians. Like, because there's certain things where I was playing bass and drums on certain things, and I cannot play drums at all. I can get them enough to like make something in a recording happen with lots of punching in or one, like just play the kick drum and then just play the snare or do the, because I'm not a drummer, but I was just trying to create something. But it's helped me explain both to engineers and other musicians what my vision is. So yeah, I learned a lot. It was like an amazing thing. And I've continued without the consistency because I've still been releasing stuff this year, just not on that schedule. But yeah.
I mean, you released one this past Friday, right? Or 2 of them. The West was one of them, and then the other one was Lonely and Poor.
Yeah, though. Yeah, well, every one of my singles has at least 2 songs. I think of them like digital 45s. Like there's an A side and a B side.
Nice, I like that.
So every one of them has 2. That one actually has 4 because I made videos that I'm gonna roll out. Like one of them comes out at midnight tonight. But nice.
And you did that down in my alma mater, Athens, Ohio, correct?
Yeah. I just found some farm on Airbnb, and then told them what I wanted to come down there and do, and they were like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Come down." So
Nice.
yeah, it was like this apartment that was on this farm, and it was like attached to this hayloft. So I like made the videos in the hayloft. Yeah, I just over like 3 days I recorded those, and then well, really 2 days. Third day I just packed up and left. But yeah, I'm rambling.
I mean, that's the whole point of this whole thing
Yeah.
is to like be able to hear it. It's funny. A lot of guests do apologize when they ramble, and I'm like, this is the whole reason.
I'm not apologizing. I'm just noting it.
I respect that. But so, like with these, I mean, you said you at first like went through like old songs and stuff. Are you like when you like go down to Athens, are you like prepared and or ideas of what you want to make, or is it more so just whatever comes?
Very vaguely. I think the funnest thing too about recording the songs the way I'm doing them is that they're pretty much the thing about me playing my own songs on any instrument is like I know the song intimately, so it's basically like I look at all of them as basically like pretty interesting demos.
Okay.
Because you listen to them and they're like, a lot of that word lo-fi gets thrown around when people talk about them to me or something like, I don't intend to be that way. That's just the only fucking thing I can make happen. And I don't, I kind of, especially even with one of my favorite things is just to kind of like play guitar with not even really having parts sometimes. And then just so it creates a looseness that I feel like makes it feel like there's almost like a rickety band behind me. But I don't really, some things I'm more meticulous about than others. It just depends on the song, really.
Got you. Do you have any favorite ones over the last 2 years that you're just like fucking love that? I'll tell you, I love the song that you and Trevor put out, The Simulation.
Well, that's Trevor's song.
Oh, all right. So, well, then your combination on those ones were great.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I just played some shitty guitar on that. Yeah.
I love that one. You guys together. I love
Trevor, man.
Roll Another J. And
has Trevor been on here?
Yeah, Trevor was on here earlier this year, man.
Nice.
And had an awesome chat with him again. Trevor Sott, son of Scott, Anaconda Vampire Bats, all the above.
Johnny in the Grave,
Cannibal, or Vegan Cannibals, man. I could go all day with Trevor Sott projects. But that one, Roll Another J. But you did a remix with that as well.
Yeah, with Malik X and Esther Fitz and Dan from Coda.
That was rowdy as well. Like, I was all in on that.
That was pretty fun. We did a 420 show at Coda when we put that out. That was a pretty fun project that brought together some different corners of the music scene. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. My favorite ones. I like the first one that I did just because I think my favorite ones are the ones where I ended up being like, can't believe this turned out this good. Because a lot of times they fall short, or a lot of times I'm just kind of like, I'm not too precious about them, when I go like, there's a lot of things wrong with this, and I just don't care, because the only thing I really care about is the tune itself. The production side of it is more like, I kind of want to mask it with like, it's not, I don't always want to make it nice. I'll always take interesting over good. That's how I look at it. Yeah, I like the first one I did, Soul on Down. This one called Porch Steps, I thought turned out really cool somehow. I think I like that one a lot. I like, let's see. Yeah, there's I can't think off the top of my head, but those are the ones that stick out to me. And then there were some ones I did with Jake Fader and Joe Tamino, because at the end of the run of year number 2, we were kind of like we were kind of out of the lockdown part of COVID stuff. So it was like, okay, well, I feel like I want to move out of this home recording thing and to show that I'm not in my house anymore, like work with some engineers and people around town that I really like. So towards the end of it, I did some, like my buddy Dave Shaw that works at Summa. He like helped me like mix and master these 2 that I had done. And that was like the first thing. And then I did some with Jake Fader and Joe Tamino. And then I did 2 with Tuck Mindrum, who's amazing. And then we did 2 at the last 2 we did at Summa, like with Dave Shaw. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I like them all for different reasons. I like them because it's like, honestly, I look at songs as a way to bookmark time anyways. Like, it's just like the same thing that you would write right now is not the thing you would write at 9 o'clock tonight, is not
Very
the thing
true.
that you would write at 4 in the morning. It's always just about paying attention to what, yourself and your reaction to your environment or how things make you feel. Um but I can look back through like the playlist of my monthly singles and think about where I was every month during COVID. So like it's like a historical document to me, um, that yeah, I think it's all pretty truthful. So I don't really like necessarily like one more than the other, I guess. It's just this is what it was at this time.
No, man, that's a really cool thing. And I mean, people can relate to that, I'm sure, with just listening to songs, and it will take you back to a place in time. But to be able to actually like write them and be like, I remember, like, this brings me back to this memory is like probably pretty cool for you.
Yeah, and you can hear to me, I can hear like the changes in what I was learning about recording and stuff during that time as well. Yeah.
This is our time for sponsorship.
Yeah, yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Glassroots Coffee. Go check out Glassroots Coffee now, located in Toledo, Ohio. That shit slaps.
All right.
So I know Klepp is just itching at the neck over there, about to jump through the screen because he has one thing on his mind, and it is there a Ray Flanagan full length album coming at any point? I know
Well,
because you put out one in what, 2019?
yeah, that one was sort of the purgatory. Like it's 7 songs, so I was like, I don't know. It gets listed as an album, but I'm like, that's kind of the minimum, I think. I
Seven
was like,
song Purgatory, man. That is a good
yeah,
concept of
because
just like
I think this winter I'm gonna make a full length record, and
Hell yeah.
I've been for so long like sitting there going, man, if I could find some money and make a record, like do it like real, and go to a studio, but have a real budget and go in there and do it. And then having meetings with people and like trying to follow up on like trying to get people to invest in it and stuff. It's just like I really had a part. I'm like, I'm just gonna make it, I'm just gonna make something and then I'll figure out how to publicize it and promote it and have that. But I'm just like, I also think piggybacking off of this thing that I've developed with these singles over the last 2 years, for better or for worse, I don't think they sound like anything else because it's just me trial and erroring. Um, but I think if I spend some time during the winter and bring in like musicians that can actually should be have business playing drums and bass and stuff, I think I can make a real record just on my own. And it will have more of a fingerprint. And I don't really care what people think I should or shouldn't do. I'm just gonna, but I think, yeah, I do think I've been thinking about that. Like it's in the last like couple weeks actually. I've been kind of like, I think, what am I gonna do this winter? And I think I'm gonna do that. So yeah.
well, if you ever press that shit, you know that Klepp and I will buy. If that encourages you
All
at
right.
all.
Good to know.
Let that be the deciding factor.
It's good to know because vinyl is an investment. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But obviously that's our way of consuming because
Mhm.
it's purposeful. We talk about it on almost every episode of how
Mm.
like before any sort of digital, before like CDs, even you're like everything is so purposeful. You know that there's going to be silence for at least 30 seconds when they're flipping that thing. And
Mhm.
I just think it's so cool to be able to listen like to albums how they're supposed to be listened to.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, to me, yeah, it really is the most, I think, like personal medium to listen to music on.
Yeah.
I think it's the most proper one in some ways because it demands the most attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's an activity to play a record. It's not an act, and I don't really even do it. I don't have a vinyl collection because I know myself, and if I get into something, I'll go start giving the credit card companies money. But
You'll have a shelf like this.
yeah, so I don't. Yeah, I it's not a rabbit hole that I've gone down. Like COVID, one of my other things is I got into Polaroid cameras. I probably spent like $2,000 worth of
Damn.
just because that film is expensive
It's so
too.
expensive. Yeah.
But it's like Yeah. So, but I do, but yeah, it's just, a CD or maybe that's like more pristine sounding, or cassette tapes are kind of fun and quirky, but they don't really sound very good. And, I think it's really lost with, streaming and listening. I mean, I listen to mostly on Spotify. That's what I listen to most of my music. Um, but I don't really do exploring on there. I hate the amount of choices. I'm the kind of person that's like, you show me 3 things, I go the one in the middle. You show me 30 things, I mentally fry. Like, I can't do it. So,
Well, Vinyl Stallions has a solution for you.
oh yeah,
Go check out on Spotify Stampede Shuffle, and then we also have the Stampede Shuffle 2.0 because they cut us off at 10,000 songs. All of your songs are on the 2.0 one, and there are, if you want from bluegrass to rap to metal to anything under the sun, I promise you that's how I find music. And honestly, nowadays it's me, Klepp, our buddy B Mac, and our buddy Michael are the ones so far that have put it on. But I will seriously flip through that, and until someone sparks me, I'll look at the artist. Okay, I know like one song by them. Let's listen to that full album. And like that's kind of honestly what I've been doing more recently.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty intentional about what I listen to, and I'm mostly trying to figure out where things come from. So like lately I've kind of been like in the 1940s.
Interesting. Like, what do you listen to there? Like, what do you?
Well, I've been on this thing about jazz standards and how those songs are written. So I don't know. I've been listening to like I found this record that I really love by Julie London. It's called Julie Is Her Name, and it's just her, Barney Kessel on guitar and Ray Leatherwood on bass. And so it's just a vocalist and a guitar, electric guitar, and an upright bass. And it's just like there's nothing going on, but the way those guys backed her up and her voice singing some of those songs. But that Billie Holiday Body and Soul record I've been listening to. And then just trying to find song like a lot of Frank Sinatra, a lot of the source for those original jazz standards, which usually come from either like they were originally some score for a film or a play or something. A lot of the sort, it's like you can either go find Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald or Louis Armstrong or Billie Holiday, like, because it's to learn the song itself, you can't really like listen to like Charlie Parker or Miles Davis do it because it's just they're taking it and doing something else with it. But I'm just interested in how those things are written, especially the way that they go around in one form that loops around instead of like verse, chorus, bridge. Here's this other weird section. Like it's funny because they are pop songs, but you could see how those forms like changed as music changed, but also it's a lot closer to even though they're pop songs, it's a lot closer to just like the people that were making it clearly had more education in classical music and harmonic movement. So yeah, I've learned 4 standards over the last couple months, and I'm just that's actually what I'm it was because I'm not doing the monthly single regularity thing. I've decided I'm going to do this monthly singles thing, which I've already failed to do it monthly. I got over eager and posted 2 in 1 month. But
it's better than none.
I'm setting a goal to like post 1 standard a month, which is funny because I'm against kind of posting covers, but I feel like this is like a historical thing that I see I don't want to get lost, and I feel like we're so far away. The popular music industry in any genre is so far away and disconnected from the history, like the cultural history there's like a rich cultural history that America has. And like, yeah, I mean, there's like some of the country records, like there's this record that I love, The Nightlife by Ray Price. It's this amazing record and it's a piece of art. It's still like a commercial record, you could tell it's like these there's a goofy intro with him talking and to the audience. I like that too. Like people used to talk to their audiences.
Wait, but you performed that song though, right? Nightlife, or is that your own song?
I have a song called I Love the Nighttime.
I Love the Nighttime. Yeah. That's what it is.
No. But but yeah, you listen to that and you're like, wow, this music is amazing. Everything about these songs are amazing. And then you turn on the radio and it's like Nashville just has complete disregard for its own history, you know. And on that level, anyways, and pop music as well. It's like some of these standards. One of the things I'm laughing about, it's like, that, you know, like whatever, Stella by Starlight or All the Things You Are, like two of the ones that I learned, like I don't remember the numbers, but so you're looking like, oh, this was number 15 on the Billboard chart. And not everybody else, it just sounds like Christmas music now. But it's like if you are around older people and play those songs, like they all know them because that was like the popular music of the time. And it's so sophisticated in so many ways. So it shows that people are well capable of understanding what you put in front of them. It's just that people, the cheaper it gets, now records don't make as much money. It's like there's no risk taken. It's like the more that we follow that path, there's a separation between the actual art of it and just making stuff to sell. That goes across the board because I just look at it as like you turn on 96.5, it's McDonald's. You know, it's not going to your local burger joint with a local chef that knows how to make a fucking amazing burger. You know, it's not that. And that's just, I think, a fact. But it's just me following my interest that I think across, and I do that with my own music too. It's part of my artistic statement is to try and preserve qualities of blues and rock and roll and R&B and soul music, and some country music. I'm not as knowledgeable on that because I can only intake so many things at a time. But you know, just trying to follow the things that I love and figure out where they came from and follow them backwards. And then often the further you go down that rabbit hole, the further you the harder it is to have a conversation with like the average person about. He's like, I don't know. I've been listening to fucking Frank Sinatra's V disc collections when he was sending little records for the troops overseas in the 40s. So I don't really know anything about, I don't know, name a thing.
A person today. I don't even know. I just picked it up from, it was Trippy Red.
Lizzo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't she do some cool stuff though? Recently,
it depends what eyes you consider cool.
Yeah.
Nah, man, that's very well said all around. Honestly, that analogy with like McDonald's and then compared to like the chef is like spot on of like what you're getting out there nowadays, and it's like some people may even say it's like oversaturated now. But it's just
where it's just more like it's a complete. I mean, there's just I'm trying not to say the term Wild West, but it's just anybody can put anything out, and then some people who are better at getting attention or more prone to pandering are gonna get more like attention and then plus there's just all these different mediums that you can make money on now, like people that get good at YouTube or get good at TikTok. It's like people have there's these new almost new art forms, you know, like and getting good at one of those things has nothing to do with being good at writing songs or playing music. They don't necessarily go hand in hand. But things are just changing, you know. I mean, it's like television does not have the singular power it once had. Radio does not have the singular power it once had. And with it comes like a lot of good, but it comes with just a little more chaos, I think.
Definitely. I want to dive into like some 40. I'll listen to an artist and like think, all right, well, where did they draw their inspiration from? And I find myself going further back and back in time, but I haven't quite gotten all the way to the 40s, a bit of 50s with like some of the older, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think I skipped over a lot of even like 70s, 60s. I mean, I grew up listening to classic rock and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in the 60s and even in the 50s that I've kind of skipped because when I discovered the old blues guys, basically when I discovered Mississippi John Hurt, it was kind of my gateway into that sort of like, you know, earlier blues music, and it changed the way I thought about a lot of, especially performing as one guy in a guitar. But then when you listen to that stuff and you start hearing those same lyrics in like rock and roll songs 30 years later and stuff, you're like, like I can't remember, there's a Who song where they do this song. I think the original song is called Black Woman. It's like on an Alan Lomax like field recordings compilation of like field workers from probably like, I don't know, the 20s or 30s or something. And it was like this work song. Then the Who has a version of it that's like a rock song, and it's like, you guys shouldn't be fucking singing these lyrics. So like, so there's like there's a lot of that I just kind of go, okay, I get it. But also then when you realize where it comes from, you're like, man, this kind of was bastardized. Like when you can understand, like I remember in high school, like hearing Robert Johnson and being like, that sounds like noise to me, kind of. And then, but then once you are able to put yourself into a place, but I think you almost got to understand it's a lot of work to understand something in retrograde. Like I'm born in 1992. Of course, I grew up around Tim McGraw and In Sync and whatever else, and Bush and Nickelback and all these, Black Album, Metallica, and whatever, these things that I was just exposed to. You're not going to be able to just listen to something from the 30s and it's going to make sense, probably, especially if you're not musically inclined yet or whatever. It's a lot of work, and I realized that it's not people's fault for not knowing it. I just think it's like, you go back in time, it's like time machines. To hear someone's voice from the 1930s, it's like just as much as learning about the bullet points of history and who was president and who killed what country, bombed what country. It's like, you want to know how people felt from a time, like go listen to the music from a time period, and it paints a more complete picture of history as well. I think that isn't really taught so much like in our public school education, and it's really sad because it's just as valuable and there's just as much information there about being a human being,
Yeah. And it's showing its longevity. I mean, dude, music is never going away. It's been around forever. And like, whether, again, it may not make sense to you because it's from a different area.
That's the other weird thing is like the recorded music is such a baby. It's
True.
so young. And that we have access to stuff from 100 years ago is like, wow. That blows my mind to hear someone's voice from 50 years ago. It really does when I really think about it, because prior to the 20th century, it's like it was written down or you learned it from your uncle and then you tried to teach it and then it got telephone gamed and who knows where it originally came from. It's like, I think all the time about like someone in the 1600s that was probably wrote amazing, beautiful songs, or
some bards out there.
And it's just lost to time. It's recorded music is really cool in that way, but yeah, it is really just a face-to-face oral communication way to tell stories about our time here. Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, it's crazy, man. It's I think saying the Wild West or the unknown is basically like where we're at, and it's so young, like you said. I mean, Lord only knows where this thing's going to be able to go, and
the business model has completely shattered. So it's sort of like, so it's like anybody that can find their way, it's like you earned it, yeah. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it's so I played out in a band back in like 2019 and played like 8 shows or so around and then disbanded or whatever. But that was like my exposure to like the music community a little bit more, and just like seeing more local shows rather than seeing my uncle go play cover band somewhere. And then like being able to come out after COVID and like go to open mic nights, like live right by the Happy Dog, be able to just walk up to any show I want to. Mm-hmm. There's just so much freaking talent in this city right now. And it's like, I just feel like it has like a pulse in a sense where it's just ready to explode. And I don't know, like
Cleveland's amazing. I mean, there's always amazing people making amazing, true stuff here. I just don't know if we really have, we just always seem to lack support for like it to go somewhere else, and it's like, but yeah, there's no doubt that Cleveland, I think, has just as it's sort of like I think a lot of people come here and are surprised, like how cool the music scene is here.
Yeah, I mean, people were blown away. Like we hosted our first annual soiree, the Stallions charity concert, back in February of this year, and like I had friends, moms, and like people come out being like, where did you find like, or like, how'd you know about this? And I'm like, just go to a local
Met him at
show.
open mic or
Yeah,
something.
like it's there just waiting for you all in the city.
Yeah, it's really a thing. But it's so funny because Cleveland's a working town, I think, and it's really just like most people that are going out, if they do go out, they're probably just looking to like let off some steam with their family or have some drinks. Like it's not as much. It just is like a working town. Is really how what I experience also from playing in front of the people all the time, like and being ignored so often. It's like people have their own full lives of work, and but it's but there is, yeah, it's so I don't know. There's like a disconnect, I think, between sometimes the people that live here and the amazing art that's happening here.
Yeah.
And and then because yeah, you just made me think of that because of like yeah, some people would be like, where did this person, like, I don't know, they live in Lakewood or whatever, it's like
right next to you.
They're
next
around,
neighbor, bro.
they're around, yeah.
No, it's interesting, and it has me thinking. I mean, there's obviously great venues like around just city of Cleveland itself, its neighborhoods, but I mean,
yeah, we got a bunch of cool venues.
I mean, there's cool venues, and I don't want to use this as excuse to play devil's advocate here, but like you go to some places and they have like a music row where there's 5 places like where you could bop into and see music, and I don't know if that's our answer. And
I don't
obviously
know. That's postulation. I don't know. I mean, I always think a little bit, and I'm not going to be the person to do anything about this. Probably, who knows what happens once I'm 40 and I go, all right,
you're leading the tribe.
Yeah, but I always do think that it's a little bit of a shame, and maybe this will happen as more like young people continue to move downtown and stuff. But it we have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like that's probably the main attraction that people come and visit when they come to Cleveland, and they don't know to go to Tremont or Ohio City or over to Waterloo or to Coventry. Like they don't know to go to these neighborhoods. They're gonna go to downtown, and there's really not a lot of music downtown. Even just like bar band, like cover band shit. There's really not a lot of that downtown. So it's like, I do kind of think of that. Like there should be more like fucking
like East Fourth should be just bumping.
There should be rock and roll bands playing downtown. There should be, whatever.
Yeah.
There should be whatever it is, regardless of genre. It's just like there should be more live music downtown, I think. And the Rock Hall's done a great job of also using the Rock Hall as a venue. Like there's a show there tonight. It's like that's awesome what they're doing with that outdoor concert series and stuff, and exposing a lot of people that they have using their platform. Everybody way more aware of the Rock Hall probably than like the Grog sometimes, or like just your, what I mean? It's like
big time.
It's a cool thing that they're doing down there, but it's like yeah, I don't know. I do think there's something that could happen with the music, the local music that happens here being more connected to the general public.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I mean, there is no answer. It's just throwing shit at the wall, but
it's not my department. I'm not there to figure that out. I'm just here to make my shit and get out.
Well, I mean, they just kind of like started releasing some ideas of building around the Brown Stadium and around the Rock Hall with like restaurants and stuff on the water over there. And I mean, hell, it'd be really cool in 10, 15 years to be able to look and say like, wow, they're actually surrounding music bars around the Rock Hall or something.
And there's a little bit of it almost over there, but somebody had an idea one time that I thought was cool about, why doesn't Cleveland have like a boardwalk,
dude?
And like the whole, and with like, waterfront, like you just walk down the, like we totally could.
You model Chicago of being
it's kind of like that a little bit over there now. Like we played it, what was that, Voinovich Park or something for this gigs on the green. Like I haven't really, I don't ever go down there. So I was like, like there is kind of like a little row of things starting to happen. There's like, maybe it will go out into the water. That would be
like
cool.
Nueva's like the only restaurant I think over there. But yeah, no, we're like starting a little bit. I just model Chicago. They're functioning as a city in the winter by the water.
The more that the edges of our country sink into the ocean, the polar bears die. I think Cleveland looks pretty good. We're kind of, we got fresh water. We don't really have to worry about too many natural disasters. Like, yeah, I feel like, I hope, at the same time, I want it to stay cheap and cool here, but but I do feel like more people will probably move here over time just because the population will grow, you know.
I mean, I agree. I visited my buddy who's stationed over in Hawaii in the army, and I was meeting a local there, and they're like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I'm from Ohio," and they're like, "Is that by Idaho?" And they they said that because it sounded somewhat similar. And all I said was, "It's the place you're going to go in 20 years for fresh water," and I just left it as that.
Yeah, that's funny
because they both got the O's. But
I know. I read ridiculous. That as soon as you said it. I was like, oh, okay,
Idaho. Yes. Well, Ray, man, I appreciate you definitely coming on. Again, Ray Flanagan, everybody, check him out. I think your Instagram is Ray A. Flanagan.
Yeah, somebody had Ray Flanagan, and my middle name's Arthur.
There you go.
So yeah, it looks like Ray Flanagan, but it's
we needed another A in there.
Yeah, Ray A. Flanagan is that's my @ on anything. It's just whatever it is. Twitter, which is useless to me because I'm not a controversial rich person, but thanks for having me on here.
Nah, man, it's our pleasure.
I'm like just thinking about like I'm probably not gonna be able to listen to this. I hate like hearing myself talk actually like seriously about things.
It's all right. Just dish it out to everyone.
Yeah. You're not the first person to say that either. Like a lot of people come on and are just like, I don't know if I can listen to it because I don't want to hear myself talk. And it's like,
anytime I do,
it's all good.
I know it's just, but sometimes it's like if I'm a little more, you guys got me to be kind of serious on some stuff. So I was like, they're gonna be like this guy, fucking. But I'm like, this is why I just write songs. I'm not supposed to. I'm not an orator.
Keep it in the music, man. So you, do we have any gigs coming up here for you?
Well,
end of the year,
the last Monday of every month, I play at the Winchester in the front room with Anthony Papaleo. I don't know if you guys know Anthony, but he's amazing. He's kind of like, you often see him backing somebody else up, but he's just an incredible musician. You should bug him and try and get him out of here.
Yeah,
he may or may he may not be. We can get him, bring him out of his shell. But Anthony's amazing. So we do a duo there last Monday of every month. It's been really like my favorite thing to look forward to every month is playing with him in the front room of the Winchester, which is like really one of my favorite rooms to play music in. Has been since I was like, I used to play the open mic there like in the old Winchester, like 2011, 2012. Okay. And so it's just a great space. It's a little square. There's nowhere to hide in there really. It's like, it's very just immediate, and same reason I love like the Beachland Tavern. It's just like,
definitely go check out those venues, everybody. Winchester and Lakewood, Beachland over in the Waterloo district.
And the Happy Dog. I'm gonna go over there after this.
Go get yourself a dog, ladies and gentlemen.
There's something going on in the Underdog. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah, I know. I honestly reached out to try to do this in the Underdog, and they're like, "We got music there tonight."
Okay.
It's all right. We'll collab soon, Happy Dog. We'll collab soon. But I'll say, before we go, there's always an encore here on Vinyl Stallions.
Okay.
And it's one question.
Okay.
Whatever comes to mind, you can have multiple as well. But Ray Flanagan, what is your most memorable concert experience? And this could be playing, this could be attending, it could be made you so happy, or it could be like a what the fuck moment. And feel free to name a couple, like I said, if a couple more come to mind.
I don't think it's fair to name a couple.
I love it.
No offense to anybody that did name a couple. Most memorable concert. I mean, that's really hard. There's a lot that pop in my head. Most memorable or favorite? Most memorable?
Just whatever. Yeah, I mean, we say memorable, but we've also said like most what the fuck moment, most bizarre moment, most moment that made you feel like out of body.
Like my first like real big concert was I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers with the Mars Volta opened at the Quicken Loans Arena, whatever. But it was whatever it was at the time. Was it the Q yet?
The Q, the Gund Arena. Now what are we at? The Robo
I guess it was the Q. Yeah, right. Now it's not the Q anymore. It was the Q. It was like Halloween. A lot of people were at the show, but I do remember them coming in on like wires, like that Flea and John Frusciante were like came in on like
goddamn.
I think it was like Stadium Arcadium tour or whatever, which is funny.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but like yeah, I don't know. That was pretty memorable.
Hell yeah, that's memorable. Like the only time I've seen that, it was actually Gene Simmons at the Q, just bass solo.
Yeah,
sent to the top of the stage is just
Yeah, there are. Yeah, I mean, there are other contenders. Okay, I guess I'm gonna say two more. One, I got to see Ronnie James Dio with Black Sabbath like before he died, and I remember a lot of them involved me crying. I remember Ronnie James Dio walked out. I was such a metalhead when I was a kid. He walked out and I like couldn't believe it was him. You know, when somebody walks out like that, it's like I saw Bob Dylan and I'm like, he's a real guy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think of him as a real guy sometimes or whatever. And I saw Ronnie James Dio come out, I immediately started crying. And then I have a real memorable moment of I saw Paul Simon at the Nautica, and when he played the song America, and I was just like trying to keep it together, and I looked over at my buddy Dave Shaw that was next to me, and he was crying, and then like the whole group that we were with, I looked over, everybody was like crying, and it was like an amazing thing. Paul Simon doing America, but I don't know. I said three. I think that's fair.
Hey, that's fair as hell. And actually,
but the one memorable one, I just didn't want to say it because I don't, Chili Peppers is not my favorite music, but
it sticks out to you.
But it's the memorable moment because they were fucking I think they were almost completely naked and they were on a wire. Yeah.
That'll stick in your head for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that record that's actually on the record over there is Simon and Garfunkel.
Nice.
Without even knowing. So clearly it was meant to be thrown in there. All right. Again, Ray Flanagan, I appreciate you coming on a lot, man. It's great to be able to chop it up with you. And like I said, you've been a guest that's been mentioned so many times. Such an incredible talent, name in the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area. So encourage everyone to check him out. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we do a little bit of a Stein out here. So my name is Spruce.
I'm Ray.
I'm Clep.
And this has been another episode of Vinyl Stallion.